Good afternoon. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Happy National Signing Day. Coach Dilfer and his staff have added 8 players currently today on top of the 16 from December, along with 9 transfers, bringing the class to 33 as of right now. So with that, I'll turn it over to Coach Dilfer for an opening statement, and then we'll have questions.
Thank you, Ted. Excuse me. I'm wondering, one of you asked how I'd handle recruiting, and I said we'd figure it out. Well, we figured it out. This is a great class. I don't want to get into superlatives, but I would argue, be tough to argue that it's not the best class in the history of UAB football. And I deserve very little credit for it. I think it starts with Tristan. Day one, his leadership in this department, then adding Connor and Abby. On top of that have been invaluable assets, the 3 of them together running this department along with their interns and support staff allowed this to happen. And I got to give a ton of credit to our coaches. I mean, think about Alex Mortensen and Nick Coleman and Miguel Patrick and Riley Jeffers. They were working 2 jobs at once. And for their ability to help us recruit at a high level while finishing strong at their other places speaks to their character, speaks to how well they do their jobs. And then I'll give a lot of credit to Sione. He, like me, as high school coaches, didn't have a lot of experience in this, and he became an expert in recruiting very quickly. And I think that's where you'll see a lot of the strength of this recruiting class is in the defense as well. So the staff did an incredible job. We're coming together each and every day. I'm more impressed with the people in the building, and I really believe that's what the kids saw. I think as recruits came in our building, yes, they love the fact that a strong foundation has been laid here. We have nice facilities. We have great resources, but more importantly than any of that, they all spoke about how they saw the staff really get along and how it felt like a family. How we were honest with them. I think that's the biggest thing that came out of recruiting was there was no sales pitch. The conversation around this building are not what are we selling. It's who are you? Who are we? And let's make sure that they see that. And there's authenticity to it. And the ones that we have signed, we're all very impressed with that. So I can talk all day long, but I'll open it up for questions.
You mentioned when you were first hired that the trenches were going to be a big focus for you in recruiting. We've seen that come to fruition. Almost half the class, 8 defensive linemen, 6 offensive linemen. Just
And I'm glad you did the work for me there.
Just what have you what have you seen from this class of trench guys that gets y'all excited? And who are some of the highlights of this class?
Yeah. So let's start on defense because I think we've talked about this. The mentality of this program will be built on our defensive mentality. One, we have really good defensive linemen here. Okay, so I always struggle with this on recruiting day when I would watch it. Like, we brought in all these new cool toys and we forgot about the toys we had. I don't want to forget about the guys here. We love the veteran defensive linemen here. Don't like them, we love them. But they're all getting older, right? They're all going to leave the program in the next couple years. So the priority was to make sure that we added not just depth, but developmental guys that can become difference makers with really good development. We also had to find a handful that as true freshmen could contribute from a depth standpoint. So if you talk about Gerlins Milford, okay, super twitchy, big time power lifter, plays way stronger than his weight, his listed weight, advanced at an early age with technique, plays a very, very, very high level of high school football. In fact, he'll be playing against offensive linemen this year that are similar to the ones he played against in high school. Like these are Power 5 SEC type offensive linemen that we saw him compete against. Jonathan Allen from right down the street. You talk about a dense person that can move. Again, carries his weight really well. Very good technique. Some would say undersized, but for us, the way he uses his length makes up for his lack of height, his height. So we'll talk a lot about guys, we don't look at what their sizes say. Do they play to a certain length? Do they play to a certain height? And Jonathan Allen plays a lot longer than he's listed. and I don't want to cheat any guys, but like those are two guys right away that can come in and not just add depth, but I think contribute as true freshmen. Merriweather's another one. Iman Smalls, again, similar profile. When you look these guys, when you're around the building, you see them, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, now we kind of see what they're looking for. Thick jointed, dense bodies, play with length, twitchy. And a lot of that's, Miguel Patrick, our defensive line coach, who's an absolute rock star. He's not good, he's great. He's a great coach, and he's a great recruiter. So we know what we're looking for. Sione and him spent a lot of time together. I was part of those discussions, and we signed players that fit their mold of defensive linemen. Offensive lineman length, athleticism are key components for us. Now we do want guys that metrically hit certain standards. Tackles, we want long athletic tackles, and we're willing to develop them. So if they're a little underweight right now, we believe we have the best strength and conditioning program around. They'll do a great job putting on the weight they're going to need, but we want an athletic and a length baseline to work with. And then as you move further inside, guard, center, now you're not looking necessarily at 6'7", but you do want guys in that 6'3.5" to 6'5" area. Again, arm length is very important to us, and we want guys that have played tackle in high school as they move inside, because you're probably going to have a better athlete if you have a tackle in high school that moves in and plays guard and center. So we feel like we got incredibly athletic and incredibly long on the offensive line.
Hey, Trent, obviously UAB in the past, they've recruited Birmingham well in the state and the region, but when you look at the sheet today, Scottsdale, Arizona, Flint, Michigan, San Diego, California, how important is it for this program to be able to recruit nationally heading into the future?
Yeah, I don't think that's ever really been, that hasn't been a conversation, believe it or not. It's like we didn't go in there and draw a map and say, hey, the map that we've drawn is Alabama, right? we want to recruit Alabama really well. You don't have to go far to get really good people and players. I've said this before, the other advantage of recruiting Alabama is you're going to get a great coach. Whether it's a city coach or whether as you work into other areas, these are really, really good coaches. We've had an opportunity to spend time with them, and we're really impressed with them. Now, saying all that, obviously Georgia, obviously a little bit in Louisiana, Texas are going to be places, Tennessee, obviously where we're from. We're going to have a presence there, but we're going to major in Alabama. Now, to really get to your question, I think people are seeking us out. You know what I mean? When you look at some of these states, I think they like the vibe that's going on. I think we've done a really good job on social media. I think, the excitement around the program with the staff has become kind of a national conversation. And then when it comes to certain positions, you can find a certain type of athlete in certain regions. And I don't want to give away all our secrets, but that's also a strategy here.
We don't have the 25 limit that they used to have. Was there a certain number that you were trying to hit, or is it just a matter of just as you go,
No.
that's just what you have?
There wasn't, and I think I said this early on because I'd done a lot of work before I took the job, and I had a lot of people tell me, well, you want to have like 65% high school, and you want to have 30% this, and that made sense in the old model, right? When you had a fixed number, when you knew your roster, I could understand that, where you would have a formula there. Our formula was, let's find great kids that have potential to be great football players, that are culture fits, that fit our idea of what each position group looks like. And if they want to be here, we want them, right? If they really want to be here. We did not try to convince any kids now. There was not like sales pitches and late night phone calls, please don't do this, please don't do that. And we probably lost a couple of kids because of that. But we know that the ones that are here want to be here. They want to be Blazers. This is their number one school. We weren't a fallback plan, right? And I think too often at the mid-major, you become a fallback plan for a lot of kids. And they get here, and they're always disappointed they get to go to the school that they always wanted to go to. Well, we let some kids go really early in recruiting that we felt like we were their third, fourth, fifth. We were the fallback. I don't want fallbacks. I want kids that want to play for these coaches, that want to be part of this institution, that want to help make this city better. We're pitching that too. That's not a sales pitch. That wasn't a opening press conference statement. Like, we want to have an impact in this community. So we ask them, like, do you like to get your hands dirty in the community? Do you want to make this city better? Do you want to leverage your influence and and your platform to help other people. And we're getting kids that want to do that, or at least they're excited about that opportunity.
When you were hired, you kind of hit the ground running, and you said that you've never done the recruiting before at the collegiate level. My question to you would be, like, what was your favorite part of the process, and what was something that was difficult that you didn't anticipate when you took the job, just the whole process?
My favorite part is watching the coaches. I mean, a college coach, and I'm not a college coach, right? I was an NFL guy that became a camp guy, that became a high school guy, that now is a college guy. But these guys are college coaches. They love recruiting. Like, it is their lifeblood. They get jacked about it. I love seeing them excited, right? Like, the building has a different energy when you're breaking down tape of, we watched more huddle highlights. I thought I watched that with Elite 11. I've seen that dang Puma commercial so many times, I don't know what to do with it. It's the one that leads off the huddle highlight. But to see him in the room, the war room, you get 9 coaches in there, and you're talking about offensive tackles, and you line up 18 offensive tackles, and these guys are fired up about it. Now we're looking at defensive linemen, and to hear Miguel and Sione talk about what a defensive lineman looks like, and you just see them come alive. And then Connor and Tristan, these guys are recruiting psychopaths in a good way. I mean, it's just tape after tape and evaluation after evaluation. They get your young guys in there, right? Your support staff in there, and they're learning how to evaluate players. And it's a cool camaraderie, and it eats up 80% of our lives. We don't really have lives outside of recruiting in that hot period. So I really enjoyed observing that and being part of it. There was a lot of times that I had other things to do, but I'd go in the war room and kick my feet up on the desk and grab a cup of coffee and just listen to them as they were watching stuff. And then eventually say, "Coach, what do you think?" I'm like, "Well, you guys kind of figure it out. You don't need me to chime in on this." So I really enjoyed that part. I enjoy getting to know the kids. It felt like, it's always going to be hard. I'm going to always miss the high school piece of it because you get so invested in these kids' lives when you're a high school coach. You get a taste of that in recruiting, right? Because they're the kids that I just got done coaching. Now, hopefully I don't get jaded over time with this, but this initial stint, it was like, oh, cool, I get to be the high school coach again. Like, I get to talk to them about high school things and get to meet their parents. And I've had 3 daughters go through this recruiting, so I think I had a connection with a lot of them when I sat with them, because I could literally sit there and go, man, I know how hard this is. Like, I've done this 3 times. And I think being able to connect with the parent and the player because of my personal experience, both as a high school head coach walking kids through it and as a parent walking 3 kids through it, I think allowed me to have a unique connection with some of these recruits and their parents.
You added a couple of quarterbacks in the mid-year signees. Kind of what did you like about those 2 guys, and just what do you like about, or what do you feel about the quarterback room, just in general, where you're at right now with that?
Well, we love the ones that stayed, right? We love Jacob. We love Damon. We love Harrison Barker. Like, nobody talks about Harrison Barker, but if you just go watch Harrison Barker throw a football and you didn't know his last name, you didn't know his height, you didn't know anything about it, you think he was a Power 5 starter. The ball goes where he's looking, and it spins, and it sounds good, it looks good. So we like the kids that are here. I think Carter Putt, I can't. Yeah, I can. He's in school. Yep. Thank you. I'm still getting some of the compliance stuff. He's a highly productive kid in junior college, won a lot of games, played a lot of snaps, can operate at the highest level, a sophisticated offense. We really like that. And then, Trace is a really interesting situation. He had 2 years of his high school quarterbacking taken away from him, injury and COVID. And then you go back and you watch his Fork Union stuff, and here you see, he's the best athlete on the field, and he's a really good quarterback. So there's a lot to work with there. So we're excited about the developmental opportunity there. And then Landry is a kid that, he played 7 games last year, I think, was highly productive. I had one coach say, his PFF, which is your film you're watching of portal-type kids, looked like a jugs machine reel. Like, it's a clinic. So we feel like there's great competition in that room. We like all their traits. We like the personalities in there as well. I think quarterback rooms is something I can probably call myself an expert in. And, you want a certain vibe in your quarterback room. You want a certain character. You want people that are highly competitive, that are trying to chase their best, but they're also can be cheerleaders, right? They have to be cheerleaders for their team. They have to be cheerleaders for the other guys in the room. There has to be that kind of, hey, we're all in this together. Like, the better this room is, the better the team is. And I feel like all these guys kind of have that makeup. Maybe that's the easiest word.
Jumping back to recruiting in-state, how much easier was it able to build relationship with the coaches, having a former teammate of yours like Jeff Kelly, coach here in the state at Saraland?
Well, I think that was huge. Jeff, my relationship with Jeff, I think really helped us down there. But I think Ernest Hill being part of this staff, he's a legend. I think BV, I cannot say enough good things about Bryant Vincent and how our relationship grew in those 2 of the weirdest weeks of all time. But we wouldn't make it weird, and it was really hit to his credit. I think BV did an incredible job of, along with Ernest being here, and then having, the Matt McCants or Henleys, guys that are highly reputable in those areas. But then just that whole piece, BV kind of letting them all know, hey, these are our kind of guys. That really helped in the state of Alabama. And then we went to work at it too. We've actively gone and been with the coach, connected. And I think I said this early on that, one of our recruiting philosophies is connection. We want to connect at a deep level with the coach and with the family and with the kid. And our coaches and myself did, I thought, a really good job of making sure we made deep connections in the state with the coaches and let them get to know us. And we're honest with them. That's the other thing too. High school coaches want to be told the truth. They don't want to be sold a bag of junk. So there were hard conversations. Hey, yeah, I know that kid was a good kid, high school player for you. I know he was really productive, and I know you probably think he fits for us, but here's why he doesn't. And they're like, hey, thanks. I appreciate the honest answer. We now see better what you're looking for. So I think it's going to help our long-term relationships with those coaches. So there was a lot of investment put into connecting at a high level with the Alabama coaches, and we're going to continue to do so.
Anything else? Last one to Steve.
Used to be this kind of ended recruiting for the year, this signing day, but now with portal stuff and just it seems to kind of go a little longer now. Are you still? Could you still add some guys before really before camp starts?
Yeah, I think we'll add one by the end of the day. That's pretty impressive. I think now focus goes on to roster management and roster development. You got to take care of the ones that are here, right? And I think that, again, going back to one of my earlier statements, is I think that gets lost in this game. And at least looking at it from the outside in, reading articles, watching interviews, talking to college coaches as a high school coach, and almost I felt like, you celebrate this day. Oh, look at all the new cool stuff coming in. And if you're in the locker room, you're like, well, what about me? Right? We have a handful of really dynamic walk-ons that we believe are scholarship type players sitting down there. They need reps, right? They need a chance to prove themselves. We have some veterans that maybe were brushed aside or didn't get the opportunity or come back from an injury. Our attention needs to go on developing them, getting them excited, making sure that they know that we're expecting those guys to play at their highest level and help us win next year. So I think if you're talking too much about recruiting after today, you're stealing from your existing roster. You're not giving your best to your existing roster. So we're going to really, and we've been doing it to a certain degree, but now we're going to pour some gasoline on this roster development. When the coaches hit the road again in late spring, and we'll obviously use spring ball as a good recruiting opportunity, we can redirect our focus. But right now, I would say the majority of our focus are the players that are in that locker room today.
Anything else? Last one.
I'm good. Unless I'm saying stupid stuff that you want me to shut up. I mean, typically the way that works is say, Coach, shut up.
Half the guys y'all were able to bring in on the portal are from Alabama. Just how important was it able to get some of that hometown flavor in with some of these guys?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think, Alabama high school football is so good that you're going to have kids have these incredible opportunities to go try out the SEC, right? Try out the Big Ten, try out some premier ACC schools that in their mind's eye as an 18-year-old, you think that's, the creme de la creme. I think they'll realize the harsh realities of that very quickly, and I think you're going to see more Alabama kids, Birmingham kids especially, come back home after that because the one-time transfer will be like, you know what, I should have gone there, or man, I've been watching from afar what they got going on there. Man, my high school coach raves about those guys and how honest they are and how much energy they have. And oh man, they didn't have that coach when I was looking at this, and that coach is one of the best coaches in the country. It happens to be at UAB, taking Alex Mortensen, whoever. I think we're going to have a really big presence in the bounce back world because of what we're building here, and because this, I've only been here 2 months, but I'll tell you what, I love this city. I love the people. The people are so welcoming. I feel like they're really honest and authentic. There's not a lot of fakeness. I'm a California guy. There's a lot of phoniness out there, right? And then Nashville kind of became a little phony, right? It became a little Hollywoodish. People are real around here. The energy in the city is great. I've been able to actually get out of my cave and go do some things. And I think people want to live in Birmingham. I think they want to come back to their families. I think they want to be part of this great city. And I think because of that, we're going to have really neat opportunities around the portal times because of bounce back kids. All right, thanks guys.
Thank you. Specifically because this is the best team in hockey right now. I was about to say, we're all trying to